Good morning, just testing out my audio. Please let me know if you can hear me. We're gonna start in a few minutes. We'll give it until 11:05. So again, if you can just let me know that you can hear me, that'd be helpful. Okay, I think that's working. All right, we'll get started at 11:05. Thanks, guys. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. We are going to be talking about customer service. My name is Jane Stevens, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the training manager here at Zolo. So every Monday and Wednesday, we do new agent orientation. So if you ever need a refresher on the CRM, feel free to join in to those sessions. Otherwise, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do a rotation of a bunch of different classes, webinars, and we do have the calendar posted on the training channel in Workplace. So if you're ever wondering what's coming up, just check that out. We have some really exciting stuff coming up in November, but this is something we do every month just because customer service is so important for any business, every business, especially now in our day and age. So it used to be the case, I'm going to date myself here, but it used to be the case that you would look up a company in the yellow pages and really the very first listing, if it was ABC or 123, that was pretty much guaranteed to get the most amount of business because they were at the top of the list. That's no longer the case. People really look online now and look at reviews. So let's talk about that at the beginning here. So reviews are going to be really important for your business as well as for Zolo. So if you have a client that you've just got an accepted offer done for them, that's typically when they're going to be the happiest. So it's very exciting to get an offer accepted. As you kind of go through the process, once you're doing the home inspection, you're removing conditions, you put them in touch with a lawyer, things get maybe a little bit stressful. So I think the best time to ask for reviews is when they are the happiest, when you've gotten that offer accepted, maybe you won in multiples. So definitely ask them to not only provide a review for Zolo, because obviously we want the most amount of reviews as possible to reflect positively on the brokerage that we're associated with, but then also make sure that you are asking them to review you as well. And there's different ways that you can ask for that information or different ways that they can review you. So one of them is for you to set up a Google business account. So such as this, what we're looking at here on the screen. This is the Google business for Zolo, but you can set one up for yourself. So Google business, set one up for yourself. I believe they send you a postcard to the office, to our main office in Toronto, and just ask the deals department to send you the code. It just verifies that, yes, that is your mailing address, and then you can set up your Google business, because this is going to be a really great space for you to ask for reviews, because when people Google you, whether it's your name specifically or, a realtor in that particular area that you work in, hopefully your Google business page will come up and they'll be able to see the reviews. You can see here Zolo has 235 Google reviews. So, hopefully you can generate, many reviews as well. The more reviews, obviously, the more credible you are. And this is the thing as well. We're so lucky here at Zolo that we do receive leads coming into our CRM every day. But of course, if you have a conversation with somebody, they might go to Google, they might go online to see who it is that they're speaking with, right? So as I said, they're going to be looking people up and they're going to base their decisions on the reviews that are out there. So if you don't have any reviews, I challenge you to ask past clients to definitely go back and give you some testimonials. And again, there's different formats that you can do that in. Google Business is one of them. And then also if you have a Facebook business page, that's another really great space for you to ask for reviews. And again, it gives you an online Facebook page, fan page, business page, which hopefully you have in addition to your website. So really you should have these testimonials everywhere. This is a sample of Valerie Peebles' Facebook fan page. You can see down here, she also has a website. So she has some reviews. She's received, out of 4 people, she's received 5 out of 5. So, the more transactions you do, the more reviews hopefully you request and receive. So definitely ask people to review in both places, if not more. So if they send you a testimonial, then, you want to post it on your website, asking them to review you on your Facebook business page, and then as well the Google business. You can even add that as part of your email signature. So it's not something that you have to think about asking all the time. But as I said at the beginning, definitely asking them for a review when they're the happiest. And that's typically when you get that offer accepted. So just making that part of your business model to ask for reviews, it gives you credibility online and it also promotes you to future clients. Just so you know as well, every single time you take somebody out on a showing, you want to be coming back into your CRM and you want to be updating that activity with a showing. So you want to be updating that client profile with a showing after you've taken them out on that showing. Because what happens is Zolo is basically asking for a review. So when you enter that showing activity, they're going to get an automatic text message saying, how do you rate your Zolo agent? And so it asks them for a rating between 1 to 5 stars, but then they're also prompted to write a note. So if they take the time to write a note, then that's great. Your growth manager typically will let you know, especially, if it's a glowing review, they'll let you know. It does sit in the back end of the CRM, so your growth manager will reach out to you and let you know if you have received a review, and that's definitely something that they can copy and paste and email to you so that you can add it to your website. But then, as I said, reach out to them and ask them if they wouldn't mind posting it to your Google business or to your Facebook fan page, just so that you have that online credibility for future leads who are looking you up and trying to see, if you've been in the business for a while, if you've done any transactions, do you have some reviews? So, definitely make sure that you're working on that and building your online reviews. One of the things that is really going to help you in providing excellent customer service is going to be having some sort of system in place, having a CRM that's going to help you stay organized and on top of all of your tasks. If you leave it up to memory, you're leaving it up to chance that you may or may not remember. So you really want to have a system in place that's going to help you provide customer service. So you want to be touching base with people on a regular basis. And again, the Zolo CRM does do that. So if you're updating activities, you've had a conversation with somebody, you do have the ability to enter notes and schedule a follow-up. Sometimes the follow-up is that same week, so it's kind of still top of mind, but sometimes you're not following up until, maybe a month from now, maybe 2 months from now. If their timeline is longer than, 30 to 90 days, you're not going to call them every week, right? So you want to have a system in place that you're not forgetting about them, they're not falling through the cracks. So definitely having some sort of a CRM in place to assist you with that. So as I said, the Zolo CRM definitely provides that for you. There is a schedule a follow-up button that you can click on to schedule a follow-up in the client profile, and you'll see it right here on your dashboard. So any scheduled activities that you set for yourself, you'll see them on that particular day. So you'll see them right there on your dashboard. But also have some sort of a backup system. An Excel spreadsheet is a really good idea because it's free. I always like to recommend things that are free, but the busier you get, the quicker it is that you're going to outgrow this system. So initially, this may work. Have a system in place or an Excel spreadsheet that you create. And this is just a sample of one that I created a long time ago. So you can put in the date of when they inquired about the property. You can specify what type of lead they are. So is it a renter? Is it a buyer? You might want to put those in different sections or maybe even different spreadsheets altogether. But then keep track, if they are renters, what their possession date is like. So are they looking for something immediately? Are they looking for something 60 days out? Have they given their landlord their notice? Do they have a specific date? Is it October 1st, November 1st, whatever it is? So keeping track of that, again, will allow you to tailor your services to their timeline. So you don't want to be calling people every day if they haven't even provided notice to their landlord, right? As an example, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. So keeping track of their possession date, certainly their name, their phone number, their email address. You want to know how to get back in touch with them. Another column that I would add here now as well is the URL. So when you get a lead in the Zolo system and you click on that client profile, the URL is unique to that particular client. So I would copy and paste that and put that in your Excel spreadsheet as well, just so that if you do want to go back and update your activity with this particular client, you can just click on the URL and it'll take you right to the client's profile in the Zolo CRM. So adding that, I think, is a good idea as well. Keeping track of their budget. This is also because, again, going back to the workplace group that we have a referral channel in there. So if a colleague, another Zolo agent posts a listing that they have, maybe it's a listing for rent, maybe it's a listing for sale, and you've been keeping track of everybody that you've spoken to and you know what their budgets are and you've kept track of what area they're looking in. If you see that Zolo agent is posting a coming soon to MLS, they've got a listing coming soon that's in Oakville that's listed for $900,000, you might want to reach out to your buyers who have previously inquired about properties in that area in that price range. So if you're organized, you can keep your clients top of mind and reach out to them, when things come up like that. So anytime there's a new listing that you're aware of, you can reach out to your clients and let them know, this is coming soon. Would you be interested in taking a look at it before it hits MLS and before there's competition? So that's, of course, going to equal excellent customer service. People like to feel like you're prioritizing them, you're thinking about them, you have their best interests in mind. So the way you can do that, of course, is by keeping track. It will be impossible with all of the leads that you get to remember everybody's search criteria and to reach out to them just based on memory. So at the very least, having an Excel spreadsheet as a backup for you to use. Again, you can see here, you might even want to keep track of how many bedrooms or baths, they're looking for, maybe what stage they're in. So have you shown them a property? Have you met with them before? Did you write an offer for them? Was it accepted? Yes or no? You don't have to get into too many details, but definitely putting in some notes just to jog your memory as to who these people are, right? So you showed them properties, they tried reaching out over the weekend, they weren't available, I called them, no answer, whatever the situation is, just so are you really having a dialogue with these leads, or, are you kind of trying to get a hold of them and they're not really responsive? That also will tailor, of course, your services to them, right? You're going to prioritize the people who are responsive and getting back to you. So just a simple Excel spreadsheet to help you stay organized. Of course, once your business grows, you may grow out of that Excel spreadsheet. So I did a quick Google search for top real estate CRMs, and there are a whole bunch. There was a list of 23 that I came across that I copy and pasted here. And I've just highlighted a few that I think come up the most often. So Top Producer is definitely one that you hear about all the time. It is, actually, I think this one's a little bit more expensive. Everything sort of hovers around the $30, $35 a month mark. I think Top Producer might even be 60 something. Highly, highly customizable. So that for some people, you may like that. For other people, it may be overwhelming. And you just want a system that works. You don't want to have to create it yourself. So Top Producer is out there. It's available. It's a little bit more expensive, but it is more robust. You can really make it do the thinking for you. So it will follow up. It'll remind you to follow up with people maybe that you haven't even set follow-ups for. So that's the kind of thinking I'm talking about. But definitely it will do other things that other CRMs are capable of as well. So maybe sending out emails on their birthdays. So when we write offers for people, we have their photo ID. Oftentimes that's their driver's license. So take a record of their birthday and follow up with them on their birthdays. Have a CRM that just does that automatically. It makes you look like a rock star, but really you just have a system in place that's doing that for you. So Top Producer is one of many CRMs that are out there. Let's talk about a few others here. Exact Contact is really the one that I recommend most of the time, all the time. This one definitely hovers around the $35 a month mark, I believe. And what's great about this one is that it does incorporate quite a few different things. So it incorporates a website. So they do actually offer websites for you. So if anybody goes to your website, signs up, that sort of thing is automatically entered into your CRM. So it's a CRM as well that keeps track of all of your contacts. It also keeps track of all of your deals, your tasks for the day, your appointments for the day. And the nice thing about Exact Contact is that it also generates an email template so that every month you can send out an email to everybody that's already in your CRM. So that's incorporated into this as well. So the email template, I believe, is created for you with some content, and then you can just go in there and tweak it. Obviously, you want to be changing your contact information and all of that, but you can personalize it. You can add a note up at the top, speaking directly to your leads, but definitely using that template and incorporating some of the content that's already there just saves you time having to come up with that content yourself. So it probably gives you the most bang for your buck, the Exact Contact CRM. There's also Realty Juggler, which I use, and I've heard great things about it. Some people, really kind of heavily use this to run their business. If you can get past the interface, you can kind of see here, it's a bit 90s looking. If you can get past that, it is a good CRM to use. And it is, I believe, it says $179 a year. So it's probably the most affordable, but it's probably the clunkiest in terms of what it looks like. But anyway, another suggestion, it made the top 23 list. So I'm sharing that with you as well. And of course, there are other ones that surface. This one was one that I came across, and this is free. I always like to recommend things that are free. It's free up until a certain point. So I don't know what their criteria is, but I don't know if it's a certain amount of contacts you're allowed to have in there. But it would be a good starting point if you don't have anything in place and you're looking for something a little bit more sophisticated than that Excel spreadsheet. Real Office 360 was one that I came across. As I said, it's free up until a certain point. If you want to start adding some bells and whistles, then it will start to cost you. But this definitely has a nice sort of workflow to it. So just having something in place, really anything that you're going to use essentially at the end of the day. You really want to be, if you are going to have a CRM outside of the Zolo system, you really want to have a CRM that you're going to use, that you're going to basically live in every day and do your follow-ups, do your calls, so that you know what it is that you're doing day by day. Keeping those people that are in your database top of mind, systematically reaching out to them will make them feel like they're really important to you and you do have their best interests in mind. So that will, of course, equal good customer service and hopefully give you a positive review. So one of the things that we talk about as well is having a daily schedule so that you're doing the same things every day so that if you are following up with leads, you know when you're doing that and you're not, just leaving it to chance. The day isn't running you. And again, because we're so fortunate here at Zolo that we do have leads coming in all of the time, sometimes it can feel like we get a request and we drop everything and we run out on a showing. If you have a daily schedule, then hopefully you can time block when it is that you're going to do your maybe some outside lead gen. Maybe you're going to follow up with your Zolo leads, follow up with any leads that you've previously set for, scheduled follow-up. Definitely having some sort of a goal for yourself every day so that you are hopefully having at least 10 conversations, maybe getting 5 new emails. So having a goal for yourself and scheduling your day so that when people do ask you for showings, instead of dropping everything and running out the door, you can suggest, are you available between 2 and 5 today, if that's kind of when you want to be doing your showings. So let's just look at an example here. So this is a daily schedule for realtors. Again, I Googled it. I didn't create this. But, just know when you work best. Some people are morning people. Some people prefer evenings. So, schedule your lead follow-up for when you're, best ready to work. So you might in this example, you might set up your day, you might, listen to some trainings, listen to some scripts online. There's so much that's out there that's available. So maybe that's your lead generation prep, right? And then sort of mid-morning, because, as realtors, we don't want to be calling people at 8 a.m. They probably don't want to talk to us about real estate so early. But, at around the 10 or 11 a.m. mark, that's probably a good time to start calling, responding to emails, scheduling appointments. And then, as I said, having a time slot later on in the day. And you can see here that that's set for 3 to 6 for listing appointments and showing properties. So that, again, the day isn't running you. You know exactly when you're going to be doing your lead follow-up, your lead generation, and when you're going to be scheduling showing. So definitely having something set up like this so that, again, you're setting time aside for yourself as well. And it's not, you're not a realtor on demand. You've got a daily schedule that you're following, and that way you're servicing your business appropriately as well. All right. So let's talk about those calls. So when the calls come in, this is something that, the calls get recorded in the back end. So your growth manager, is able to listen to them and give you feedback if there's anything. But definitely, having, first of all, as I said at the beginning, some sort of goal for yourself. So if you are going to set aside an hour or 2 hours a day to do your lead follow-ups, maybe setting a goal for yourself that you're going to do X amount of calls, you're going to send X amount of emails, you're going to send X amount of text messages, whatever your goal is. It might be, I'm going to do 2 hours every day, it might be an hour every day. But what I like to sort of suggest is maybe you don't quit until you've booked an appointment, right? So that is your goal. So you, regardless of how many phone calls you're going to make them until you've booked an appointment, so that every day you have a showing booked. And then just having that system in place, and then knowing how to, have those conversations with the leads that are coming in, so that, again, you're providing that customer service. Attitude, of course, is everything. So there's an acronym here. Attitude, always greet your customers with a warm opening. So we'll talk about a call flow in a moment here. But definitely you want to be answering your calls professionally. You want to have a conversation. You want to be treating your customers with respect. So not interrupting them. Definitely, if you start the conversation with something like, how can I help you? Oftentimes they're going to tell you their whole life story, right? What their, search criteria is, what their timeline is, all of that good stuff. So definitely listen. And then you want to be talking and interacting with them. So give them their turn and then connect with them, understand what it is that they're looking for, interact, make them comfortable. As I said before, you definitely want to be tailoring and customizing your services to their needs. So if they do tell you, you know what, we're just looking right now, probably won't buy anything for another year or so. Again, you're not going to call that lead every day, but definitely let them know what you can do to help them between now and that year. So, let them know, I'm going to send you listings. I can send you listings right now, just so you know what's on the market, even though you're not ready, just to give you an idea as to what's out there. Let me know if there was something you're interested in. I can let you know what it's sold for, right? So you're just kind of staying connected with them that way. So understanding their needs, knowing how often you need to touch base with them, and then discovering the impact you have on your customers, so that really at the end of the day, you're exceeding those expectations, you're exciting your customers with the level of customer service that you're providing. So taking it a step further, so having that conversation with them on the phone, but then also following up with things that will be useful to them. So if you don't have a buyer's guide already implemented, or you don't have a seller's timeline already done, that might be something that you do. You create PDFs that you can follow up with your customers after a conversation and send them what to expect, what the next steps are in whatever transaction it is that they're looking for. Even if it's a renter, having some sort of, email that you might send out with the process and what landlords are looking for. So, just having always that next step available so you can inform your leads of what the next steps are. It'll make you come across as, professional, what you're talking about, exactly how you're going to help them. And again, they'll feel comfortable with you and the process because you're informing them and educating them along the way. All right, so that typical call flow, as we said with the last slide, you definitely want to be answering your phone professionally, having a warm greeting, having some opening remarks. So you're introducing yourself as an agent with Zolo.ca. I tend to stay away from, calling it Zolo Realty because they're more familiar with the website. So introducing yourself as an agent with Zolo.ca. How can you help? That's, a good question to start with, especially if you're calling a lead back. And, you might even need to remind them about what they inquired about. And once you've jogged their memory, how can you help? So if they have questions about the property, make sure you've got Treb open or whatever MLS system you're using so that you can answer those questions, you can provide the information. So you're having this conversation with that lead, and then hopefully at some point you're turning the tables so that then you're having a conversation about what the process is. So you can start to add value here. Are you familiar with the process? And regardless of what they say, if they say, yes, we're familiar with the process, great. So you can go ahead and say, the lease market is really competitive. So if your budget is $2,500, let's make sure that we're not looking at properties that are 28 because those will likely lease for that amount of money, if not a little bit more. Landlords are going to want to see credit score. They're going to want to see your employment letter. Do you know what your credit score is? Is it above 650, 680? That's typically what landlords want to see. So you're providing them with information, right? And then you're going to let them know that you are a buyer specialist, right? Or you work with tenants and you're happy to schedule showings back to back so they don't have to do the legwork. They don't have to be calling all of the listing agents. Work with me. I will schedule all of the showings for you back to back. I'll send you an itinerary as soon as we're off this call, and I'll meet you at the first property on Saturday at 1. So you're showing them what services you're going to be providing, and then, closing remarks, making sure that you're all on the same page, hopefully converting that call to showings, following up with that email if it's just a timeline that you're sending them, or an email recapping your conversation, sending them an email from MLS with their properties that match their search criteria. So definitely following up as well after the call is, a way to stay in touch. So not everybody's going to put your number in their contacts right away because they had one conversation with you, even if it went really, really well. So definitely follow up with an email so they have your contact information and you can continue the dialogue that way so that hopefully at the end of the day, they choose you to do business. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So the typical call flow, so as I said, introducing yourself from Zolo.ca, reminding them about the property that they looked at, and then asking them how you can help. So I think that's a really powerful way to start the conversation because it puts it on them to tell you what it is that they're looking for. I do talk about in the CRM training that in the client's profile, when you go to the client's profile, it's divided into different sections, and the very last section is called qualifying. So if you click on that, it has its own edit button, and it pulls up a qualifying questionnaire for you. So if you're brand new to real estate, that might be something that you pull up so that you have it in front of you, just so that you don't forget to ask anything. All of those questions will become second nature after you have enough of these conversations, but initially that's something that you should have in front of you just so that you're not missing anything. And it's also a great place to enter in all of that criteria. So if they're giving you their timeline and the bedrooms and the budget and all of that, it's a great place to put it in so that you can refer to it later. So definitely use the qualifying questionnaire. It also has a section in there where you can qualify somebody as a top 5. So if you do have an amazing conversation with somebody, you don't want to just push them into the engaged folder. You can set them as a top 5, and then hopefully that keeps them top of mind for you. Definitely schedule the follow-up so they're not falling through the cracks. You want to be systematic with your follow-up. So, making sure the follow-ups are in your Zolo CRM, having an Excel spreadsheet that backs that up, and ultimately maybe even a CRM that's maybe a little bit more robust than an Excel spreadsheet. But this is how you want to start the conversation. Obviously, as part of the conversation, you want to get their search criteria. If you ask them how you can help them, oftentimes this will just be disclosed, right? Well, we're looking for a place in Milton. We need 3 bedrooms. We really want something with a finished basement. You know, we don't want to spend more than $3,000 a month. You know, our landlord is selling the property, so we're pretty flexible with a move-in date. As soon as we find something we like, we can probably jump on it. That's a great conversation to have. And oftentimes, as I said, you won't even have to ask the questions. They'll just tell you what it is that they're looking for. So then again, the way you turn the tables, the way you then provide value is to ask them if they're familiar with the buying or renting process. So I already discussed this a little bit, but you can let them know what it is that the landlords are looking for, right? In terms of credit score, in terms of employment letter, basically they need to have enough income, right? They need to show the landlord that they can afford the rent. And typically that means that the rent shouldn't be more than 30% of their income. So informing them of that, letting them know what the criteria is going to be for the landlord, so that you're showing them places that will, that they do stand a chance at actually getting. So are you familiar with the process? Then sort of gives you the floor so you can talk about the process. And then when would you like to see the property? So of course you want to be converting those calls to showings. So if you sort of follow this really easy script, it's not really a script that you need to memorize. It's literally 2 questions. How can I help? And then when would you like to see the property? In between there, you want to be talking about the process, and then going out and having that face-to-face meeting with them. You know, showing up on time, having everything organized back to back, you know, using Google Maps when you're scheduling those showings so that you're not bouncing from one end of the neighborhood to the other end, having it, you know, all mapped out, sending them that itinerary before the showing. You know, again, it's just going to come across as you being the professional. You're providing them with that customer service, and they'll not only continue to use you, but refer you to their friends and family. So definitely it all starts with that conversation. So there are some questions that come up. So here are a few answers that you might want to use. These are questions that we come across all the time. If you have other questions that have come up and you're not sure how to handle them, if I don't cover them here, feel free to chat with me. But one of the most often asked questions is, are you the listing agent? People assume that we're the listing agent because they see our face attached to the property on the Zolo site. So just let them know I'm a buyer specialist. And what does that mean for them, right? If you call the listing agent, it means you're going to have to call all of the different listing agents for all of the different properties that you're interested in. So tell them, I'm a buyer specialist. I can show you any property that interests you, regardless of who the listing agent is. I can send you listings that match your search criteria. You can let me know which ones you like. I'll schedule those showings back to back and send you an itinerary. What is it that you're looking for, right? So you want to be handling the question, letting them know what it is that you're going to do as a buyer specialist, and then carry on the conversation with another question. So what is it that you're looking for? And then hopefully then you can start to dig into their search criteria. So this is something that we get a lot, so definitely have a response ready for that. If they say that they have an agent already, then you know what, still provide them with the information. Obviously, this is not somebody you're going to take out on a showing, but you know, if they're asking you what a property sold for, or if they're asking, is there an open house on this property? And yes, I'm working with an agent, just let them know, you know what, they don't have any showings or they don't have any open houses scheduled for this particular property. So if you're looking to schedule a showing, just reach out to your agent and they can schedule that for you, right? So you're still providing them with good customer service. You know, you don't want to be dismissive as soon as they say, well, I'm working with an agent. First of all, that may or may not be true, right? So assuming it is, we're going to assume it is, but you know, if not, then you know, if you do provide them with the answers, like I said, no, there isn't an open house. So if you have an agent, feel free to reach out to them to schedule a showing. If you've answered it that way, if you've been nice, if you've been friendly, maybe they say, well, you know what, I'm not really committed to an agent. You know, would you be able to schedule that showing, right? So just be friendly, just be nice. And yeah, don't be dismissive if they have an agent because you don't know whether or not that's true. It's not somebody that you would take out on a showing, but still provide the information that they're requesting. If they say that they just started looking, great, there's lots of things to say about that. I mean, definitely just ask more questions. You want to be probing a little bit more, right? So if you just started looking, have you been pre-approved? You might want to ask them that. Do you need, you know, a referral to a mortgage broker? You definitely, you know, at this point might want to be recommending Zolo mortgages. So finding out where they are in the process and then letting them know, you know, even if you just started, I'm happy to show you a few properties so you know what's on the market, what the price points are now, and let's have a discussion about the process going forward and when you might be ready. Always try to book the in-person appointments, even if they're not ready today, right? Not everybody's going to be ready today. And again, you don't want to be dismissive with somebody like that because down the road they are going to buy. And wouldn't it be nice if they think of you? So, definitely ask some more questions and see if you can convert that to a showing. So again, we just want the information. We just want the sold price. Absolutely no problem. I mean, pull it up, and then in the meantime, you might even want to say, you know what, I'm just logging into my system. As I log in here, what is it that you're looking for? Is it, a neighbor of yours that's sold? Are you in the area? Or are you looking to move into that area? So again, as you're looking it up, you can use that opportunity to ask them some questions, right? Are they looking to buy something similar? Are they, what is their reason for asking, right? And maybe they do live down the street from that home and they're thinking about selling their property. So if they just want the information, they just want the sold price, no problem. You're looking it up, but maybe ask some questions in the meantime as to why they're asking, right? What's their motivation? Are they looking for something similar, or do they want to sell their home down the street from this particular property? So definitely lots of ways to keep the conversation going when you're sort of confronted with this, not objection, but just, they don't seem willing to give you a lot of information about their situation. They just want a sold price. Absolutely, you're going to look that up. And in the meantime, ask them some more questions. If they say they're a couple years out from buying, sure, no problem. Just curious, why so long? If I could get you pre-approved, is that something that you would consider doing maybe sooner? So just again, having a conversation with them, and again, recommending Zolo mortgages. So I'm plugging Zolo mortgages because we literally just rolled out with that a few months ago. So we have them here, and we have a team of agents who can help you qualify your leads and inform you of the process, right? Sometimes when they go off to a mortgage agent on their own, then you're not really privy to everything, right? You might not know the details of their timeline, of whether or not they are qualified. So if you refer them to Zolo Mortgages, they'll be able to keep you informed as to whether or not they're qualified or what it's going to take for them to get qualified and how long that might be. So again, still stay in touch with people who are not ready to buy tomorrow, because not everybody's going to be ready tomorrow, and you don't want to be dismissive of them because again, they're not going to want to come back to you if you're dismissive. So definitely have a conversation, provide them with the information, put them in touch with the right people, and see if maybe you can get them to buy sooner rather than later, but otherwise at least staying in touch with them systematically. So again, going back to that CRM, reaching out to them periodically, and then having a CRM that maybe does enable that email newsletter, because this is somebody that you could just, be sending weekly or monthly newsletters, and that way you'll be top of mind without you really having to reach out to them independently. So same thing, not ready to buy now, no problem. Are you renting? Find out more about their situation, and then just understand what it is that they need. Again, putting them in touch with Zolo Mortgages, and then asking them that as well. If I can get you pre-approved, would that be something that, would buying a property be something you might consider earlier? So again, having these conversations, not just dismissing it, not just hanging up the phone and, never intending to reach out to them. If they're not ready to buy now, they're going to be ready to buy tomorrow. So hopefully they choose you because you're going to systematically stay in touch with them. All right, I've never purchased a home before. I'm not sure it's the best way to invest my money. So lots of things to say to this one, but if they've never purchased a home before, this is an exciting opportunity actually to talk to them about, being a first-time home buyer. This is a really good situation in which to have a buyer's guide ready. So if they've never purchased a home before, no problem. I have a buyer's guide that I'm going to send to you right after we get off this call. It explains the process. Let me know if you have any questions. You could even do a virtual, buyer's consultation where you're walking them through what the process is so that they're not so overwhelmed, right? And then talking to them if they're not sure if this is how they want to invest their money, maybe looking at some comparables, from a year ago and what they're worth now, right? And just kind of incorporating that into your buyer consultation. So again, providing them with value, providing them with information, providing them with good customer service. All right. My credit is bad. I'm just daydreaming right now. No problem. So even if they're not ready to buy, maybe this is a renter that you can help. Maybe you have a credit repair company that you work with. That's something that you might want to incorporate in your business. So that, again, you're helping them. You're putting them in touch with the right people so that hopefully when the time does come, they think of you because you were helpful when, everybody else might have been dismissive. So again, providing information and putting them in touch with the right people. Waiting for the market to change. So this is something that, came up, I think, probably earlier, sort of, beginning of COVID, that people were expecting the market to drop. So just finding out what it is that they're expecting and why, and maybe in this case, having some, articles that you might want to send out to them. So it's not just you with an opinion, but you've got some articles, talking about the fact that, properties are going into multiple offers and, they're going for over ask. So, you might want to just educate them on what's happening right now in the market, and why right now is a good time to buy or sell. All right. And last but not least, I think this is the last one. I've called and no one's called me back. So sometimes this happens where you get a lead in your CRM and it's been transferred from another agent to another agent. Please don't do that. If it's a lead that you don't want to deal with, for whatever reason, maybe you don't do leases and it's a lease lead, reach out to your colleagues here at Zolo by going onto the workplace group, posting under referrals, see who's willing to take this lease lead. And then transferring it to them. If it is a lease lead, sometimes we get, lease leads that are looking at, basement suites that are less than $1,000. Still call them back. At the very least, put them in touch with a listing agent if it's not something that you're going to be able to help them with. We want to help everybody, but, it's just not the reality sometimes. Somebody might have a low credit score, maybe their budget is low, whatever the situation is. If you feel like you're speaking to a lead that may have been passed around and nobody's really attended to that, definitely apologize. That's, really all we can do. I'm so sorry to hear that. And then provide them with some information, right? I see that you inquired about this basement suite. I'm going to put you in touch with the listing agent, but a really great resource for rentals in this price range is going to be Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace. Have you explored those yet? So again, provide them the information. Follow up with an email so they have your contact information. Maybe they'll buy eventually. Maybe they know somebody who's looking to buy and they'll put you in touch with them. So really, it's all about relationships. It's all about providing value, regardless of what their situation is. If they're ready to buy tomorrow, great. That doesn't always happen. But if they're looking at a rental, provide them with the information. If they're looking to rent or buy in a year from now, great. Stay in touch with them. So it's all about customer service. Let's see. I've got some people chatting with me. Yeah, so Zolo Mortgages. So it's mortgages. I'm going to type this in for you guys at zolo.ca. It would help if I typed mortgages correctly. Mortgages at zolo.ca. So if you have a Zolo lead that is interested in buying, they aren't pre-qualified yet, I still always like to suggest going to that in-person meeting. If you just refer them off to any mortgage broker, even if it is Zolo Mortgages, the chances of them coming back to you are less likely if they haven't actually met you. So definitely, if you have a conversation with somebody who's interested in buying, they haven't been pre-approved, yes, definitely provide them with Zolo Mortgages, but still go to the in-person meeting. What do you think your price range is going to be? Ask them what their down payment is. That will give you a good idea as to what they can afford, if everything else falls into place. And then take them out and show them a couple of places, have that face-to-face meeting, get the process started, and then you're in touch with them and Zolo Mortgages, whoever the agent is there, will keep you informed as to whether or not they're approved, and if so, for how much. So yeah, definitely partner up with Zolo Mortgages. Sending them the URL link as well to that particular client, they'll be able to update information in the client's profile. There was another objection here. So if somebody says that they never registered to your site, again, all we can do is apologize. I'm so sorry. Perhaps someone else in your household registered. Were you looking for a home in this particular area, right? So just try to carry on the conversation, but, apologize if it wasn't them. Typically, it's, maybe a husband or wife was looking online and it wasn't them, inquiring. So maybe that's the situation there. All right, let me see. I thought these were the last ones, but I guess I have more. So if somebody says that we've been contacting them too much, so just know that when they sign up to the Zolo website, they are set up to receive auto emails, and those auto emails are coming from the Zolo bot. And the Zolo bot is going to notify them of any property that matches their search criteria. And the search criteria is based on their site behavior. So if they were on the Zolo website and they were looking at properties to rent because they're a renter, but then they decided that they wanted to look at a few homes, that are, 10 million, 9 million, in their area, then obviously the Zolo bot is going to start sending them listings that match that search criteria, which is obviously a super wide net to cast. So If that's the situation, just go into the client's profile, make sure that you're editing their information and that you're turning off their emails so they're not receiving all of those notifications. But hopefully you have a conversation there where you are asking them about their search criteria so that you can set them up on a Treb search. So whether or not you're sending them a prospect search or properties through Collab, whichever way you prefer, definitely having something set up like that so that, you're in touch with them and they're not overwhelmed by the listings they're getting from Zolo. Okay, my friend, family member is a realtor. That's great. Of course, you want to ask if they are full-time, and if not, if they're brand new, then, you might want to position yourself as being a full-time agent. This is something you do all the time. You may even want to offer partnering with their friend or family member, but also you might want to highlight the fact that, when you're buying and selling, there's a lot of, personal information that is shared. Is that something they feel comfortable doing with a friend or family member, or would they rather work with somebody who isn't as close to them? So again, just another way to deal with these questions. I'd like to look at the property. Are you still doing showings? Yeah, so this is COVID related. So yeah, definitely let people know what safety precautions we're taking and the COVID paperwork that's involved. So showing up also with the masks and the gloves, and if they don't have it, then that way you can provide it to them. So just a few suggestions there. All right, so on to the follow-up. So as I said at the beginning, having a CRM in place, using the Zolo CRM, of course, to schedule follow-ups, but having something else, as a backup, an Excel spreadsheet, or a more sophisticated CRM that you can use to, follow up, maybe with some auto emails, reminders, birthdays, that sort of thing. Having something that does that automatically, takes that workload off of your plate. So definitely making sure that you're following up systematically that way, but also at the very end of the phone conversation. So this is something that I mentioned at the beginning as well, following up with an email after your initial phone call, just because that way they do have your contact information. So again, it's not always going to be the case that they immediately put your name and number in their contacts in their phones. So just follow up. If it's a buyer, thank them for their interest in properties, reiterate the conversation. Further to our discussion, I'll send you listings that match the following search criteria. So what's the area, the budget, the bedrooms, the type of property that they're looking for. And then you can say, as a buyer specialist, I can show you any properties that might be of interest to you. Please let me know as soon as you see something you like. So again, that's hopefully reiterating what you already said on the call. And then you send this email, and then you also send a separate email from Treb with listings that match that search criteria. And you stay in touch, making sure that they are receiving the properties, that's still within their, it's still their search criteria, and seeing if there's something that they want to see. If it's a renter, then maybe having a little bit of a different email. So thank you for your interest in rental properties in whichever area. Attaching the rental application after an initial phone call with a renter is a good idea. Asking them to review it and complete it maybe before viewing properties. I like to ask the questions that I would see on a rental application on the phone call, because you're not always going to get that rental application back before you take them out on showings. And it's a lot of personal information for somebody to give you, and they haven't even met you yet, and they haven't even found a home that they're interested in. So, making sure that you've asked them about their credit score, their income, all of that over the phone, so you've already determined whether or not they're qualified. And then just sending this email with the rental application, reiterating what you said they'll need to obtain in terms of documents. So the credit report, letter of employment or pay stubs, and references, of course, would be on the rental application. So I also like to give a heads up about the deposit, just because, renters need to know that the first and last month's rent needs to be paid up front. So you want to make sure that they have that available and they're able to do that. And then, of course, please let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to hearing from you. You might even say here, I'll see you on Saturday at 1 o'clock. At the first property. I'll follow up with an itinerary of our confirmed showings. So different things that you can say there, but definitely follow up with an email after that initial phone call. Having an email signature attached to all of your emails, of course, is going to make it really easy for them to contact you again. They'll be able to reply to your email super easily, but then if they do want to call you, hopefully you have your cell phone number advertised there as well. All right. I did mention at the beginning the buyer's package. So if you don't have something like this downloaded, again, it's just going to add value. It's going to make you look like a professional realtor. You have information put together for all different situations. Are they a renter? Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? So I have enough time here to show you the buyer's package. You might want to put in a questionnaire. You could do a questionnaire sort of as a Google form, and you can follow up. So you've got that initial phone call that you had, and then you're following up by email. You may have a link to a buyer's questionnaire just for more information about like their motivation, their search criteria, just a little bit more than what you might have gathered on the phone call. So, that's optional, having a buyer questionnaire. But really, there are lots of buyer presentations that you can download. And there's one that I always recommend because, again, it's free. You can go to breakthroughbroker.com, and they have a template, and you can select different colors, blue, red, orange, and you customize it with your information, and it's already auto-populated for you. It talks about the process. There's a nice timeline in there that you can see and you can share with your clients so that they know what to expect, right? The more work you do with them at the beginning, the easier it is going to be as you work with them, right? They're going to have expectations. They're going to know what to expect based on how well you prepare them. So this is just one way to do that with a buyer presentation. And this is something that you can create. It's a PDF that you could create. This one that you download from Breakthrough Broker is a PowerPoint, just like this one. It's just like this presentation that I'm doing now, but you can definitely convert it to a PDF and, share it whichever way is easiest by email. I wouldn't necessarily print this out. If you are taking them out on showings, then maybe printing out the MLS listing and then maybe just printing out the buyer's roadmap. Let me see if I have that coming up here on the next slide. Preparing your clients. Yeah, so let's just, I'll show you these three. So there's a roadmap for renters. So this is something that you might want to share with them, by email, and then maybe something, it's one page that you can print out and show them during, after you've shown them a few properties as well. And it's also good for you to follow along so that you don't forget anything, right? So letting them know if they're interested, they're going to have to complete a rental application. Definitely, they're going to need to prepare their documents. So you've already emailed them that as well, the credit score, the employment letter, their photo ID. You're searching for homes right now. If there's something you like, we're going to make an offer. I'm going to negotiate that for you. And if it is accepted, at that point, you have 24 hours to deliver your deposit. So as soon as that offer is accepted, you want to be delivering your deposit, first and last month's rent to the listing brokerage. And then before you move in, you're going to need tenant's insurance, and you're going to need to transfer the utilities into your name. I'm going to need proof of that so that I can send it to the listing agent and the landlord. And then as soon as they have all of that, they're going to give you your keys, and you should have your post-dated checks prepared already if that was agreed to. So this is a nice roadmap that you can share with your lease leads. The buyer questionnaire, if you'd like to see that again, I'll share that at the end here. I'll just quickly pull up the buyer's roadmap so you guys can see that as well. So same idea, meet with a real estate professional, making sure you get pre-approved. Sometimes those are reversed, and realtors ask that buyers get pre-approved before they even show them properties. I say always go to the in-person meeting, meet with them. They're likely to use you. Otherwise, they might go to the mortgage broker and then forget all about you. So have that face-to-face meeting. Your chances increase that you'll be able to work with them on the deal if you meet with them sooner rather than later. So meet with them, make sure they get pre-approved, search for homes in their budget, make an offer, talk to them about the offer process. Maybe part of your buyer's package includes those explain forms, right? So that they are familiar with the paperwork even before you send it to them by Authent to sign. You're going to negotiate the contract, let them know that the deposit in this case is typically 5% of the purchase price, and that's going to be delivered to the listing brokerage. It's going to be held. Obviously, it gets applied to their down payment, but if they don't remove their conditions, so that would be final details, doing their due diligence on the property. If they're not satisfied with their financing or their inspection, then obviously their deposit is refundable. But if they are satisfied, then everything moves along and the lawyers take over to get everything done by closing day. Last but not least, we've got the seller's roadmap. So again, if you have somebody who maybe you are taking them out on a showing for something to buy, but in your conversation you discover that they have something to sell as well, then you want to be talking to them about how you're going to work together to establish a price. You're going to show them some comparables. You'll determine that list price together, and then they're going to need to prepare their home so that it shows really well. And as soon as that's ready, we'll take photos and we'll list your home for sale. And then, of course, you're going to be, dealing with the offers and negotiating any offers that come in. And once you are under contract, the buyers, have to do their due diligence. They have to review the status certificate if it's a condo. So just explaining all of the process. And then if the buyers are satisfied, then they remove their conditions and you move forward to closing day. So again, just having a really easy to follow roadmap for renters, buyers, sellers. This will make them feel super comfortable working with you because they now know and trust you. So yeah, let's go back to the buyer questionnaire. And this is actually something that I just downloaded from, again, Breakthrough Broker. So definitely if you want to take a look at that, I think it's more than 1 page, but you can Google it as well. Just lots of questions to ask here. So yeah, sharing that with you again for you guys to take a screenshot of if you'd like. Let me know if you have any other questions. This is all about customer service. So at the end of the day, in order to provide excellent customer service, we need to have a system in place to keep all of our leads top of mind. There's going to be hundreds of people that you speak to, and it's going to be impossible to remember everything off the top of your head. So have a system in place. Start with an Excel spreadsheet. Start with something that's free, but then grow into a system that can help you take some of this workload off, right? So it's sending out emails on birthdays, on anniversaries, when they moved in. So it's doing that for you. It's keeping you top of mind. It's implementing a newsletter so that you are sending something out to your entire database, maybe on a weekly basis, maybe on a monthly basis, just staying on top of that so that you're top of mind and people get to know you, they trust you, and they'll use you in the future, not just for themselves, but for their referrals as well. So let me know if you guys have any questions about this or any suggestions, anything that you've implemented that you've gotten good feedback about. I'd love to hear that. Otherwise, I think I covered pretty much everything. But yeah, so like I said, we do this once every month. We do a customer service webinar. So if there are suggestions that come up later on, definitely send them to me and I'll incorporate them into this training for other agents to learn about as well. So thank you guys so much. If that's that, if I don't have any other questions, then I'll leave you with all of that and I'll see you on the next webinar. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day. Bye.